Hello everyone, over here I have my newest tool, that is cards generator. What it does is it creates those loose threads hanging over there, also those preserved threads hanging from one side of the tear to the other. And with this tool you also get this atlas of textures, and we pick those textures with those helper planes over here. I will go more into details about that in a later part of this demonstration, but for now let's see how it works. So with this GeoNodes modifier applied to the mesh, we just go into the edit mode of this mesh, and now with the edge grease, so Shift plus E, we tell cards generator where the cards should appear. So the card can be like 1, 2, 3 edges long. However, if we change the value for the crease, you will see that it will break up this card into multiple cards. And then additionally, if we go into the context menu for the edges, so right click with edge selected, with bevel weight, we can cycle through those textures. And then there is another feature where we don't need to create those cards one by one, but if we wanted to create cards along this long border, we just select all those edges, and now with the split to multi-cards on, you can see that we get those cards, and we instead of this one big card, we split it into multiple cards. Yeah, we just need to turn it on, and now we can play with the density settings. There are some controls like the spread setting for it. I will go more into details about it in the also later part of this demonstration. And now moving on to the shape adjustments, we can bend the cards, we can use the L bend, so we can bend them sideways. Then there is another feature that is called C bend. It will be easier for me to illustrate it on a wider card. So now you can see that it bends them in this manner. Then there is the twist, and there is taper. We can also adjust the number of the edges in the card. And then finally we can change the gravity for our cards, and then there are some noise settings. So this will sum up the rundown of those shape adjustments. And now let's move on to another key feature of the cards generator, that is the grease pencil guide. And with this on, you can see that over here we have this grease pencil object. And if I go into the scoped mode with the grab brush on, now we can adjust the shape of our cards. Let's actually go back to shape and reset those values so we can better see it. And now if I go back, and with this grab, you can see it affect the shape of our cards. So to see how it works from the start, let's create another grease stroke. So we go into the draw mode. It is important to set the stroke placement to the 3D cursor, and also to help with the navigation, I recommend using the lock to 3D cursor when using the grease pencil. So now with the 3D cursor set over there, now you can see that where I draw those strokes, the cards will follow its shape. And now moving on to another feature, that is preserved threads. Those are those threads hanging from one side of the tear to another, and we control those with those 3 node tools. They are all in the Edge catalog, thanks to which we can find them in the Edge drop-down menu right at the bottom, or with the shortcut Ctrl plus E. So now let's see it in action. So all we have to do is to select a pair of the edges, like so, and then we hit Ctrl plus E and select the preserved threads, and you can see those cards spawned over there. It is important that we select a pair of the edges and that they are not connected. Then we have some settings for the gravity, push, and for the density, or we can change the order with the chaos setting. And then finally we have the masks panel in our modifier, and over there we can control the strength of different settings. So with the help of the vertex groups, you can see that in the sublength, for example, I have the sublength vertex group picked. So now if I only go into the weight paint mode with this group selected, where I paint the mask, you will see it influence the length of those cards. So this is how the masking works for our tool. I will take a closer look at that also in the next video, but for now we have the last step ahead of us. That is, if we are happy with the result, now all we have to do is hit the export checkbox in our modifier. So only cards now are in the 3D viewport, and now if we apply the modifier, it all becomes a regular mesh which we can add to our character. And now if we take a look at the UV editor, you can see that where those plane guides were, now the UVs are for those cards. So this sums up the features overview for the TER cards generator. In the next video, we'll take an in-depth look over all the settings from top to bottom. So see you there.